Hi everybody, it is Johnson and Chris Pulver with some Day Traders FX. We have had another great week. This is our weekly recap where we talk about a little bit of some of the trading activity that we had during this week. We did a video last week. There were some nice entry opportunities and some good activity last week. We cleared around the 400 to 500 pip range, had some great trades, great activity. This week we had some nice trades as well. We had a few less trades fire off than we were hoping. There was definitely some waiting for orders to happen that ultimately didn't give us the pullbacks or the entries or setups we were looking for. But we ended up with about 4 or 5 decent trades that netted us a pretty nice little 200 to 300 pip profit for the week. So still a very, very good week. We were watching the ECB press conference and interest rate news this week, hoping for some bigger movement and bigger activity, and that turned out to be a little bit of a letdown, which is always partially expected. You never know what Draghi is going to come up with, and sometimes we get some massive movers, and sometimes we just get some small stuff. And this week was a little bit on the small side for euro pairs with the ECB news, but we were still able to slice and dice and grab some nice trades and some nice plays here. A couple of interesting things we're looking at. Pound dollar is high on the list. Pound dollar is one we've been watching closely last week, and we're going to keep an eye on it going into this week. We've got some big price patterns and some big setups, and if we can get the pound dollar to start making its way a little bit above this area, we've got some excellent upper targets to shoot for probably an easy 400 or 500 pips on the upside if we can get the confirmation that we're looking for. So pound dollar is looking exciting and should give us some good setups. We'll have some good activity coming there. Another one that we've been watching closely and keeping an eye on is this wonderful dollar CAD this week. We're looking for some opportunity to get into the dollar CAD after it potentially drops a bit more and gives us some maybe longer term opportunities to buy this and take it to the upside. We've got some semi-overextended medium term charts, and there should be hopefully 200 to 300 pips of movement coming on the dollar CAD in the coming week, maybe 2 weeks, somewhere in there, after we get a little bit more of a pullback and a bit of a rundown there. We had some pretty good luck this week with the dollar yen. That one worked out pretty well. We had a couple of entries here on dollar yen. We were looking for kind of this bigger movement right here. We had this nice run down on dollar yen, and it really consolidated and bounced around. And as it kind of pulled back, there was some nice little trend line break activity. It broke that trend line, pulled back, consolidated a little bit, and ultimately made this nice, fantastic run. So we had a great little trade on dollar yen. That one worked out really nicely. So it was a good week on a couple of those pairs. We've got some really big setups in the works. Hopefully in the coming days or weeks as we go into this pre-summer kind of market movement, typically we can get some pretty big activity in the month of May and even going into the first part of June where markets kind of make that one last big push before they start to consolidate a little bit in kind of June, July period there in some of August. So we should see some really big movements and big trends in the works, and that should be very exciting coming up. So a good week this week. We've got some exciting setups for next week that we're excited to talk about and look at, and we will definitely keep you guys all updated on that as we have our weekly recap next week as well. Remember that you can join us for a free trial in the group. So if you'd like to just jump in next week and see how we trade and see what we do, look at the link at the bottom of the page. You can go to daytradersfx.com and the link right below this video. And in this email and in this post, you can see where you can get that free trial set up very quickly and very easily. So we'd love to see you in here with us. It's always great to see the community grow, and we're making pretty decent profits week after week. So we're going to hopefully continue to be able to do that, and we'd love to have you join us. Chris, give us a little recap of what you've been looking at and how the week went on your end.
Alrighty, thank you, sir. And hello, happy Friday, everybody. Let's go ahead and I'm going to grab the screen. So yeah, just quickly reviewing the notes. You know, a lot of planning, and the way that the calendar kind of stacked this week for a Thursday ECB. You know, if anybody is familiar with Mario Draghi and what he's been able to do with the markets in the past, I mean, it's it's not uncommon for the markets, especially Euro crosses, to be moving several hundred pips during the ECB press conference. And you know, it seemed like the headlines read everything was kind of defensive and just the same old, and whatever, regardless of the headlines mean, we just kind of watch price and we're looking for some movements and some levels. But I think it was just kind of safe to just sit on the sidelines because nothing really happened. There wasn't really a lot of traction in those Euro crosses, so we really stayed out. But what we did end up doing, as Jared has pointed out, is we just took some pretty conservative entries. Once we got in, we quickly protected 20, 30 to 50 pips. We had probably our biggest run of the week was on that dollar-yen breakout in our Aussie-New Zealand. We had a shorter-term trade on the Aussie-New Zealand that honestly ended up running for about 150 pips for some members that got in fresh. And that's a much bigger pattern that we're really excited about over the coming weeks. And Pound Swiss is one we're getting into just now. We're looking at that one for early next week as well. And the feedback overall from the members over the last 3, 4+ weeks, and all the long-term members that have been with Day Traders FX has been phenomenal. So we continue to poke out these consistent weeks, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. And the members are certainly benefiting from it. And obviously the more the merrier, and strength in numbers and power in numbers and all that good stuff. So we are definitely excited to have more people coming in and seeing what Day Traders FX is all about. As far as what we looked at this week, and just the spirit of this weekly recap, pound Canadian dollar and a lot of these pound crosses. So pound Canadian dollar, I'll just start with since it's on my chart. We have this falling wedge on a much bigger time frame. This double top played out beautifully. We've hit that measurement. We're anticipating this falling wedge, and we're still looking for a pretty significant upside on this pound Canadian dollar. So what's nice is actually seeing those alignments with the Euro CAD at these support levels, the dollar CAD at these support levels, the pound CAD at these support levels. And the tough part might be seeing oil really break down, which again is going to be a play and a correlation with the Canadian dollar. But technically speaking, these are really solid trades that are setting up, and would most likely make some recoveries and happen very swiftly and very quickly. So what we did this week is we got in on a shorter time frame. We actually called this one live during our session. We had a nice little level around 8,100, and not only do we have that level once, but we had it twice, and we also broke this trend line. So during our session, this actually played out before we were done with our live recording. We had this low to high. We had a nice little pullback where we went in to buy, and I know I was very quick to protect some profits in here. This was about 50 to 70 pips worth of profit. Had some pullbacks, and I know we had some members that stayed in this trade as it retested the high and actually went up to some fresh highs, about 140, about 120 pips, sorry, away from our entry, which is pretty solid. And then we had CAD news on Friday, and they don't call it the loonie for no reason, and the CAD news just kind of pushed it right back in. So it still maintains this indecision, but what it is starting to look like on the larger time frame is this falling wedge is looking to kind of bottom out. It's starting to round itself out, and we will be looking for some big movement to the upside, which is really exciting. Pound Aussie, similar story. We had another decent breakout to the upside. We've been watching this channel on this 4-hour chart for a while, looking to make sure that when it's ready, this is a big trade opportunity. If the Pound Aussie starts to clear this level, we've definitely got some, I'm looking conservatively 300 to 400 pips to the upside on Pound Aussie. As long as we break this wedge, we're looking pretty awesome to the upside, which is just let's get into it. So we get some confirmation next week. We get a little bit more price movement up here, and then we've got lots and lots of buy on dips or buy on trend lines. We've got probably 200 to 400 pips worth of movement that we could get hopefully in the next week or two. And Pound New Zealand, I'm a little disappointed with, I was just off the mark here. So I was looking to buy this Pound New Zealand dollar around 203. And I had that measurement from a little bit of movement earlier on this 4-hour chart. It was essentially this high to low. And here's what's kind of amazing about finding this stuff. What's more amazing is if I actually was able to trade it, it just didn't kiss my entry by about 50 pips. So, but I tried to get it pretty precisely and just missed the mark. But anyway, here's what it looks like. So this high to low, what you're going to notice is I was expecting the break of that level to come down to that 203 handle, and it didn't quite come there. It was 203.55. but what you're going to notice is the market actually created a high right here. And let me use an arrow to illustrate that. It created a high right there. And so I have the same measurement. There's a measured move. There is a measured move. And what you're going to notice is that is precisely where the market decided to turn on a dime and head up, about 600 pips. So, the unfortunate thing was it was so choppy in this area, and I was, setting price alerts at 203 and 202, and all I needed was one of those to be triggered, and I would have absolutely been looking to buy it. It didn't quite give us the precision I was looking for, and therefore, unfortunately, we missed that trade. But what it is doing is it is finally looking like it's setting up the proper posture to go up. So this pound New Zealand dollar, if we clear this 210 level, we can start solidifying a really nice low to high. And it might be choppy next week or so, but I'm going to be looking for some upside on this pound New Zealand dollar. And we're taking this off of much bigger time frames and just some good recovery on this pound Kiwi. As it's been, it's fallen a ton. I want to say over 5,000 pips from this August high of last year. Let me go ahead and measure that. So yeah, about 5,000 pips.
I was going to say, I was going to say on this pair, for anybody that maybe doesn't trade this much, pound New Zealand is super awesome. It's probably one of the biggest moving pairs out there. So some of these setups we're talking about here are, have massive moves, and even if we get a small part of that move, it's still some pretty excellent profit.
Definitely, and even that 210 level to me is a really nice confirmation to get a fresh high on this pair, and then from that fresh high, whenever it sets up, we go from low to high. We have this excellent trend line that goes way back here for months and months and months that we are breaking and closing outside of that level. So the confirmation to the upside looks really, really solid, and any type of pullback is most likely going to yield some excellent buying opportunities. And even just this measurement from this week's low to price where it's currently sitting around 11 a.m. Eastern time, we're talking a swing of 650 pips. So even getting a buy opportunity, we could expect a 650 pip move to the upside, and most likely that warrants a larger trend and a larger recovery based on some bigger levels of support and resistance. So pound New Zealand, when it's set up and when it's ready and it has a direction that's pretty clean, this thing is definitely a mover. And any given day when it's ready, this is very capable of moving 200 to 300 pips in a day. So like Jared had said, just any chunk of that is certainly hundreds and hundreds of pips worth of opportunity. So we're going to be all over this pound New Zealand next week as it's finally given us the signs we've been anticipating. And again, one last thing, I'm just going to express my little disappointment for being a few pips off on that 203 level, but it is what it is. Now we've got the right confirmation. We've been looking for this thing for weeks now, and we're finally getting it. So we're going to take advantage of those pullbacks, and pound New Zealand is going to be great for us. Currently, also we've got a trade running on the pound Swiss. We talked about this with members this morning as we wrap things up. What we are liking on this pound Swiss franc, and I'm going to go to the larger time frame first, is if for members, you're familiar with this. If you're new and checking this out, we called a really nice trade back at 34.41. We had two good trades on this actually. We were buying this thing at 34.41, and we took this up for just kind of some intraday, 50 to 60 pips. Jared had a nice breakout trade for about 80 pips. And what we actually would have loved is I would have wanted to buy some dips, and it didn't pull back, and that's unfortunate. And here we are sitting about, we're kind of joking today of, man, we had some really good trades at 3,500, and here we are, 700 pips higher. So the good thing is we at least chewed up some positive pips, excuse me, on that pound Swiss. But what I'm really liking is we've broken this significant trend line on a larger time frame. This is a daily chart, a really nice trend line connecting this high back in December. And so again, kind of setting up these pound crosses for some really big bullish patterns. And so we're looking at a low to a high, looking for a pullback, and there's some aggressive trading opportunities in there. But if we go from this low to this high, looking to buy some dips, and we could have a really nice pound Swiss trend in the works. So 600 to 700 pips on that trend. It's just a matter of letting it set up. But we are talking about some really substantial setups and really substantial trends that are just getting started, and we will take full advantage of those in the weeks to come. And the good thing about what we're doing here at Day Traders FX is we're in it every day. We're in it with the members. We're in the trenches trading right alongside you. So the notes are updated, the alerts are updated, and we are as well informed as we can be, monitoring this market 24/7. So again, I encourage everybody that's checking this out to come in and see what we're doing. We're making some awesome changes, which is really exciting, and more stuff just based on the feedback of all the members. So it is it's great. I'm really happy to be tag teaming this with Jared, and of course, when you look at the results for the last couple weeks, and these keep coming, and they will keep coming, but we certainly like those weeks closing 2, 3, 4, 500 pips in profit, and not really stressful trading. Just kind of, we talk about it, we keep tabs on all these setups in these markets, and our members are doing really well. We're doing really well, and we will continue to utilize our discretionary trading in nature and just find the areas. There's so many ways to take advantage of this market, and there's so many different ways to trade it. If you're a systems trader, robot trader, if you're totally discretionary, if you scale in or take huge trade sizes, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing, which is just be profitable and make some money, and we're doing a really good job of doing that. So come one, come all, and we'll see you all in Day Traders FX. Thanks.
Absolutely. Have a great week, everybody, and a great weekend. We'll see you all soon, hopefully in the group with us next week. Take care, guys.